she's actually, you just rescued Bubs and just rescued Simey, and we'll get to their story in a minute. One thing that I was interesting, I noticed, I thought was really cool is you said in a post that you haven't always been a pit bull like person or bully dog person, or you're introduced to them later in life. So tell me about how you used to feel about them and how you feel about now in that transition.
Yeah, totally. So I was definitely, I was not as bad as, some people who are extremely anti-pity and like anti-bully breed. So I didn't have like, an extreme negative connotations, but I definitely was like, oh yeah, those are the scary dogs. Like I didn't really, where I grew up, nobody had pitties. It was all just like, my dad was a hunter. So we grew up around a lot of hunting dogs. I always had like, we had pointers and labs and stuff growing up. So I was used to like those kind of dogs and like didn't really see pit bulls except for like, the ones in like news stories like pit bull mauls toddler and like
Yeah.
just, all those things just like constantly getting, broadcasted out there. So yeah, so actually when I was in high school, like a senior in high school, I started working at our local animal shelter. And they were like super understaffed. So they probably shouldn't have like been, giving me as much responsibility as they did.
What
But basically
happens?
they're just, all right, just like feed all the dogs, like, take out the ones you're comfortable with and clean their kennels. But like there's some in our care right now that like, aren't, we don't recommend you go into their kennels, and like, we'll have to give you slow introductions to them before you actually like start dealing with them. And so I was
Yeah.
of course picturing those to be like the pit bulls, because like just from walking up and down the rows I had seen there's lots of pitties in the shelter, of course, and I hadn't really interacted with them yet. But no, of course, it was just like one of them was a small like Jack Russell Terrier type, and another
Say
was like
probably a
a
terrier,
mix.
right?
Yeah, totally. And so like those were the ones that I really had to watch out for. But the pitties that I met in that shelter, there's one in particular, I remember his name was Tank. He's the first pit bull I ever met, and I was in love with him because he's just like a huge,
Okay.
typical, now what I know of the breed, like typical of it, just like wanted to sit in my lap and like lick my face and just give me kisses. And I was just like, wow, this is this dog must be like an anomaly. Then yeah, kind of through college I started meeting more people that owned them. I had a close friend who I lived with for a couple of years actually, who had a pit mix, and so that was the first time I'd really gotten to like interact with one, and he was just like the best, like always the best cuddle buddy. So that's kind of like, I think that's what really started to sell me on the breed. And then to top it all off, I went to college in Colorado, and so for one of our public speaking classes, we had to like choose a debate topic and argue it. And I had just learned what breed specific legislation was. Like I'd
Mhm.
never heard of it before, and like never really occurred to me that like pit bull type dogs could be confiscated from their owners without any sort of behavioral problem, just like because of how they looked. And so the more I looked into that, I was like, this is so wrong. Like, this is
Mhm.
we as a school are priding ourselves on, especially in the department that I was in, like, being very anti-racist and trying to like
Yeah.
be as
Non-discriminatory.
non-discriminatory to
Yeah.
humans as possible. Like this is just like that, but for dogs, like just solely basing them on their appearance.
Yeah.
Anyway, so long story short, I just did my debate topic on the Denver BSL pit bull ban, and just got really passionate about it then. I was just like, the more I looked into it, I was like, this is so wrong. Yeah, and I just like, as the years went past, it's been about like, gosh, I'm almost 30, just to tell you now. So I graduated from college a while ago, and like for the last 10 years basically I've just been like dying to get my own dog. And yeah, kind of as that time went on, I just like knew basically that the dog I was going to get was going to be some sort of bully mix or pit bull mix, just because of how much I love interacting with the breed and how unfair I feel like they've been treated. So like I wanted to
Mhm.
do some part of like, spreading the good word about them and getting them into homes and stuff. So yeah, I kind of
Awesome.
went from like not a ton of bully experience and what I did have being negative to being like, now I'm just like a full blown like bully advocate. I love them so much.